Hi everyone, it's me, sent from above to punish you all. Buddha may forgive you, but I won't. So it's time for my first Psikyo game. Psikyo are one of those classic shmup studios who aren't maybe quite as well regarded as something like Cave or Rising, but they're not that far behind either. I've been kind of avoiding their stuff a little because I've heard that they've got the fastest bullets in the business. And fast bullets usually means memorization, which isn't my preferred type of shmup play. But hey, you can't really know whether you're going to like a thing unless you try it out for yourself. I mean, it can't hurt, right? A video game can't cause literal pain to me, now can it? Just joking. So the title that I chose for my first Psikyo game is the first Psikyo game, Sengoku Ace, also known as Samurai Aces, originally released in 1993. I chose it mainly because it's considered their easiest game, but I also found the visual theming pretty fun. It reminded me of Rising's first game, Sorcerer Striker, also from 1993. I know that Psikyo's later games are supposed to be more refined and just plain better, so I didn't expect this to be like a mind-blowing masterpiece. I just wanted to get a feel for Psikyo's style, and that's what I got. So the defining feature of Sengoku Ace for me, and from what I understand it applies to Psikyo's game in general, is that it's short but vicious. This clear is around 11 minutes long, which I think makes it the shortest shmup that I've cleared, but it felt like I got a full-length experience during that brief runtime, and it's largely thanks to the game's particular variety of difficulty. It's not that it's super difficult per se, but it is very punishing, and it all comes down to those famously fast bullets, which will wipe you out if you don't know what to expect. These opening stages aren't too bad once you've played them a couple of times, and the game actually does this cool thing where the first 3 stages are selected randomly from a pool of 4, and all the stage orders felt equally viable to me. So it adds some nice variety to doing runs without dipping into RNG. Anyway, these stages are pretty straightforward, but I think even here you can see me playing kind of deliberately. I'm avoiding extraneous movements and sticking to what I know works. So I might do a spot of point blanking here or staying calmly in place there while I'm readying my charge shots. It's not pure memo, not yet anyway, but it's less organic and experimental than in a lot of other shmups. And that's because the further you get into the game, the less feasible it becomes to dodge the patterns reactively. While we're waiting for the difficulty to heat up to its full sizzling hotness, I'll say a couple of things about the character that I'm playing. So I started off by playing with the holy tomboy Miko, who actually says the Buddha line that I opened this video with. I picked her because everyone seemed to be playing with this samurai guy, and I thought I'd try doing something a little different, and also because I couldn't resist playing as the holy tomboy. It's like in Kingdom Grand Prix, you just have to pick the huge fairy, you know? So I got into the game, did some practice on the stages, and tried to come up with a solid route. Then I started doing full runs. And it went horribly. I was just getting wrecked all over the place. It was a very frustrating experience, especially as the game can be really punishing even with little mistakes. So I thought, let's try the samurai guy, just once, not committing, just trying him out. And wouldn't you know it, that with him I got the clear on my first try, the clear that you're watching right now. And that's despite a very stupid death that we'll see in the next stage, where I lost a bunch of bombs just because I was using my tomboy strats and point blanking didn't work the way that I expected it to. So yeah, there's a reason why this character is so popular. It's not like the other ones are bad, they're just more advanced, where you need to know how to use them to their full advantage. With the samurai, you have a pretty strong shot and a very powerful instantaneous bomb, so your play can be a bit more freeform. Definitely recommended for first-time players. So around here, as we approach the Cloud Stage boss, is where the real Sengoku Ace begins. The fangs are out, and they are sharp. This boss marks the point where I can't dodge reactively anymore. Like, I know it doesn't look that bad, but my movement here is pretty much predetermined. Like, I'm almost not looking at the patterns. I'm just trying to remember what I learned during practice and doing a plant bomb, because the second phase is super scary. And this is where the game starts to become more about that memo. I always tense up when I enter this stage because, again, if you're not familiar with the game, it looks really simple, but those bullets are fast and your ship is on the slower side with a moderately sized hitbox, so you can get crushed instantly without realizing what's happening. I think you can route this out in a way that makes it a lot safer. At least that's the impression I got from watching some high-level runs, but it felt like I would really need to sit down and copy the movements to make it work, and I didn't want to do that, so this is my half-baked route through the first half of the stage, and I was really happy to make it through alive. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because the latter half of the stage is just a series of boss fights, and these are pretty tough unless you know what you're doing. You can finish off all the little ninjas pretty much without fighting if you deal enough point-blank damage right away, the way that I do here. But because I hadn't played with this character before, I didn't know that he doesn't deal enough damage to the red ninja, and so I take a very unnecessary death here with 4 bombs in stock. Not one of my brightest moments. And I had to make up for my mistake by doing this green ninja kind of legit with some actual dodging. But whatever, dying is good and the show must go on. Never reset. And so we come to the actual boss of the stage. And here I'm going to do a safe spot strat. So all the little ninjas Power Rangers themselves into this big hulking beast, and his attacks become kind of a nightmare to dodge during the second phase, but if you stay dead center under him, you won't get hit, at least most of the time. I found this pretty nerve-wracking to do because it's pretty precise and I would sometimes mess it up. Again, it might look effortless, but it's actually a very intense point in the run for me. It's kind of a bottleneck actually while doing attempts, and I started to feel hopeful about a clear after making it through. The rest of the run is similar to the previous stage in that it is a combination of some loose, risky routing and memorized sections where I know beforehand what I want to be doing. And then the end boss devolves into bomb spam because I'm not above that. So I think at this point I'm going to start summarizing how I feel about this game. So when I think about what attracts me to my favorite type of shmupping, which is bullet hell, and this obviously isn't bullet hell, I think one of the reasons is that the games look way harder than what they actually are. Like, obviously they are hard, but even really dense patterns can often be quite manageable once you know your fundamentals, like tap dodging. The bullet density is there for gameplay reasons, but also to make you feel really cool, to create the sensation that you're pulling off something impossible. It's candy for your brains. And one other reason is that you can compensate for the lack of routing with your dodging skills. The bullets are slow enough where even if you're not familiar with the levels, you can at least try doing some honest dodging instead of being killed instantly. That makes it so that you can learn kind of organically and experiment even during full runs. So with Sengoku Ace, it's the complete opposite. The game's way harder than what it looks like, where even simple patterns can turn out to be deadly, and it's extremely risky to try new stuff during runs. I found it very difficult to make progress without rigorous save state practice. When everything goes as planned and you pull off those tight sections, it does feel good, but I found getting to that point less fun than in a lot of other shmups, even non-bullet hell ones, like, say, Darius 2, which is super punishing, but still allows you to limp to the end. I admire the viciousness of Sengoku Ace, and it's clearly well put together. Those punishing patterns aren't random and can be tamed through deliberate play. It looks and sounds nice, even if it is a little plain compared to some of the other games coming out at the time. And I really enjoy the short length of a single loop and how the difficulty progression of a typical shmup is compressed here into just 11 minutes. But it is a bit too memo heavy for my tastes. I still think it's a good game and I'm glad I played it, and I think you should check it out if it looks remotely interesting to you. But I am a little hesitant about getting into more Psikyo games. I'm curious, but also intimidated by those fast bullets. If you're watching this and you're a Psikyo head, I'm interested in hearing how this game compares to the studio's other titles, so drop a comment if you're so inclined. And just as a final FYI to go with the final boss, this clear was done on the Steam version, which is very bare bones and doesn't have any practice options, so you have to look elsewhere for that, but it plays nicely and is very affordably priced, especially during sales. Not a bad deal in my opinion. So, thanks for watching, enjoy the final boss and the surprising "Gee bro, I was just out getting some cheeseburgers" conclusion to this game's story.